Okay, we began Shaar Alef, Parak Aleph. And here's Hashem. Today we'll finish Shaar Alef, Parak Aleph. Let's just go over briefly what we learned. See, it says in Bereshis, Vayivra Elokim es Adam b'tzelmai b'tzelem Elokim bara Isai. Big Kiddush, first parak of the Chumash, that when Hashem created man, He didn't just create man like He created alligators and monkeys or plants, but Yivra Elokim es Adam b'tzelmai b'tzelem Elokim bara Isai. V'chengsi, and it says in parak Tes, that's in Parak Aleph, Ki b'tzelem Elokim asa es ha'adam, which refers to the prohibition of murder. You shouldn't kill somebody, because Ki b'tzelem Elokim asa es ha'adam. So Hinei oimek pnimius inyan hatzelem. So it seems to be very important. It's repeated often. Very important. The fact that we're created b'tzelem Elokim. It's an exalted concept, ethereal. And the majority of the Pnimius of the Zohar is explaining what Tzelem means. But we're going to go according to Pshat. Which is a third pasuk, right? So you have, right? You follow along here. There's three psukim so far. Vayivra Elokim es Adam b'tzelmai b'tzelem Elokim bara Isai. Parak Aleph pasuk Chazai in Bereshis. Parak Tes pasuk Vav is Ki b'tzelem Elokim asa es Adam. And we're going to be mufarish according to the Pasha Rishonim al pasuk, where you'll find this in the Rishonim the most is on the pasuk Parak Aleph pasuk Chavav, meaning one pasuk earlier. Nasa Adam b'tzelmenu kidmusenu, and probably the reason that the Rishonim commented on there is because there you have the whole thing, the tzelem and the dmus, b'tzelmenu kidmusenu. So I just want to do a little bit of chazara of what we learned outside, and then go a little bit further in what we learned, and then go further in the Nefesh HaChaim. I mentioned, we learned together, I read to you the words of the Vilna Gaon in the Sheva Bracha, Asher Yatzar Sa'adam b'tzelmai b'tzelem d'mus tavnisai. That the Sheva Brachas, you know how Sheva Brachas work. Sheva Brachas is that, Sheva Brachas is really a bracha, 7 brachas, that the tzibur is mevarech the chassan and kala. You send somebody up there to do it because he's a shaliach of the tzibur. I'm saying because I heard of a Sadar Kedushin saying to the chassan and kala, like have kavanah to be yotze with the Sheva Brachas. There's no kavanah for them to be yotze with the Sheva Brachas. The tzibur has to be yotze with the Sheva Brachas. They just need to listen. When it comes to the Birchas Erusin, so that the chassan has to so say the bracha himself, and because he's nervous, so the Rav HaMasadar Kedushin says the bracha for him. So there he has to have kavanah to be yotze. The Sheva Brachas to have to be bekabel bracha, not the kavanah. They're bekabel getting a bracha for the tzibur. And one of the brachas that they get is Asher Yatzar Sa'adam b'tzelmai. Yotzer ha'adam, right? Yatzar Sa'adam b'tzelmai. So what does that have to do with getting married? How Hashem created man, Asher Yatzar Sa'adam b'tzelmai, that God created man in His image. What does that have to do with getting married? So the answer is twofold. Number one is that, like in general, when you get married, when you're under the chuppah, good to know, mostly for our children, when you get married under the chuppah, so you start again. It's like a brand new chance. That's a brand new haskalah. And the second fold, which explains the first fold, why is there new haskalah? Because the original creation of man was zachar and nekeva, baram. The original creation of Hashem was that He created a man-woman
connected
creation. It was one thing. So, okay, then He separated them, the Nasira, and then we grow up as men and women as women, and then under the chuppah comes back together again Zachar Nekeva Bar. So now when we're at the chuppah, the tzibur sits or stands, depending on whether you're Litvish or Hasidish. The tzibur looks at the chassan and kala, and they're mevarach them. Asher yotzer zon the mitzalmai, beautiful. Here's the tzelem elikim. The tzelem elikim has both tchunas male and tchunas female. It has both tchunas in it. So that's the tzelem elikim, and that's the yitzira that HaKadosh Baruch Hu made before we got to the world, right? It's Atzilos, Bria, Yitzira, before you get to the world of Asiya, where everything gets all moved down and divided up, and we become ourselves, and even men amongst men become themselves. So there's no longer mankind, but mankind is a Zachar Nekeva Bara. So here at the Chuppah, there's Oisu my face that this is the original plan of everything, that you're coming together. That's why any kind of the suyin, which is not male and female, is a little bit weird. It's meaning it's like not what are you doing over here? Like you're not replicating half of the bria. It's besides for the toeva shiva, like the whole thing is raw. But I want to get to that in a minute. Not being gay, but I want to get to the concept in a moment. So we explained that the Vilna Gaon explains there on that bracha that what we need to understand, just to refresh your memories, what we need to understand about this is that he talks about why does Hashem speak in this pasuk Nas Adam Etzalmenu Kidmusenu in plural. Develops kasha. Why is B'Tzalmenu? Hashem said, I created man in our image. Why our image? Why our image? So whole Christianity, lahavdil, is based on this pasuk. Oh, you see that you can divide God into two, into three, into whatever. All of polytheism is based on this pasuk. Like here's the heter to say that there's more than one God. Of course, there's only one God. Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So the Tzalmenu says the Zohar, the Gaon brings the Zohar, that says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, he created it in four levels of existence. Domain, Tzomeach, Chai, Medaber. The whole world is divided into these four levels of existence. Either a creation is a domain, which means like a rock, domain, dumb, has no life at all. Or like this table's a domain. But it used to be a tzomeach, I don't know about this particular table, but a wooden table, used to be a tzomeach. So when you take a tree and you cut it down and you turn it into a table, you're actually dumbing it down, domain. You're taking it from a tzomeach to a domain. So, but there's a domain which is a rock or something which has no life in it all, completely lifeless. You can kick it, you can step on it, nothing happens. It's except that it wears out. It doesn't have any pain. But then you have a tzomeach, which is a vegetable, which is much more fragile. In other words, the more developed a creation is, the more fragile it is. Like you don't step on your iPhone. So it's tzomeach. It's tzomeach. What?
What level is iPhone?
Haber. So a tzomeach is one madrega higher. Then you have a chai. So chai is already there. There's tsar balei chaim. That's like there's no avera to give tsar to a plant. People have that regesh, like not to hurt a plant, but that's a very I don't know what that is. Either it's just or it's a very deep regesh. But people, as I said, people talk to their plants, they sing to their plants, and people have all kinds of relationships with their plants. But at the end, the reason for that is because it is one step higher than a domain. But it's not a chai. A chai already can be like a dog is a man's best friend. So what? I mean, who's your best friend? Okay. But a chai, you understand, a chai is one level higher, and then comes a medaber. So what the Gaon explains in this idea is that you don't have four different things in parallel. You have four things which each one has the madrega before it in it. It's a very important Gaon. Meaning that a chai is a domain plus. Right? or let's put a tzomeach rather, is a domain plus. Here's the domain. You give it some life, it becomes a vegetable. If you take a chai, which is an animal, a chai has within it tzomeach, and there's aspects of a chai which is tzomeach, and there's aspects aspects of a chai which is domain. If you kill, this is the pshat of the pasuk, anything that's tzomeach, a chai, a medaber, it becomes again a domain. Right? What is a person who's not alive? It's a domain. A domain. A person without, however you want to define it. I hope someday we'll define what is the difference between life and death. It's not so pashut, like what is exactly happens there, like the neshama. Everybody says the neshama leaves, but it's not so pashut that the neshama does leave. None of it's pashut. This is a very deep sugya as to what actually is the difference between life and death. It has halachic ramifications that have to do with breathing, that have to do with heartbeat. There's a lot of different. The definition of death, or probably like a more positive way of saying the definition of life, is a big halachic sugya. But for our purposes, every madrega has in it the madrega or madregas before it. So when you're talking about a medaber person, so a person is not like a person is monkey plus, an animal is vegetable plus. So what you have is all these three madregas, and then you have the plus. So the medaber is the plus, and that medaber is no small thing. We are sof kol sof the only animals that are able to be medaber, because even a tuki, what's it called, a parrot that can talk can't really talk. It makes sounds like it's talking, but it doesn't really talk. But I mean, talking the way we understand talking. That medaber came about with the neshama. That's clear. Like we don't find this by any other madrega. That medaber came about when the Chumash says vayipach ba'apav nishmas chayim, that Hashem blew a neshama into his nostrils, and the Targum famously says v'laseh leruach memalallah, and then he started to talk. A person started to talk only with the neshama. So that paradigm shift between chai and medaber is not like, well, this monkey is almost a human. It's a whole different story, and the different story there is, let's call it the neshama. But what is, like, not just so much to explain the neshama, to explain the added piece, right? Tzomeach has an added piece over Adobe. The added piece is called, says the Vilna Gaon, the Tzelem Elokim. That is the Tzelem Elokim. Something came from Shemayim. Meaning, B'tzalmenu Kidmusenu. Like look at it. I'm taking hundreds of years of Rishonim, and I'm putting it into a sentence, which is absurd. But I just need to understand a little bit that B'tzalmenu Kidmusenu. So Kidmusenu means that in a way we have everything about us is of the world, by the world, from the world. It's all of the world. Meaning, when the Mishnah says "Rotz katzvi," run like a deer, is because we have a little bit of a deer in us, right? Tiskaber kari, get up in the morning. Sometimes a person has to be Yoshem Vayidoim Aaron. Aaron had to be silent when he heard about the tragedy of his sons. He had to be Vayidom, Domein, Lashon Dom, right? He had to just be Domein. Sometimes you have to be a rock. It's an amazing thing. And how is a person a rock? What else? I'm a person, I'm not a rock. What do you? The answer is we have a little rock in us.
Does it include choshech and or also?
What do you mean?
I mean, does the neshama include that too? Because that was created before.
Good question. Does it have the whole Meiser Bereshis
right.
in it? It's an interesting question. But when you talk about the being at the end of the Bria, the end of the Sheishis Yemei Bereshis, you have all of the Bria within us. Gewaldig. So if we have all the Bria within us, that's Kid Museinu. Ad Kedei Kach, I mentioned the Gra who mentions the Zohar. Ad Kedei Kach, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Himlich B'Maaseh Bereishis before he created Adam. He said, I never made anything extra, I never made anything in duplicate, I never made anything redundant. So, Shaloi Lahatel Kila B'Maaseh Bereishis, there shouldn't be this envy and jealousy within the Maaseh Bereishis. So I need to consult. It was like a big board meeting Hashem had with the alligators and the kangaroos and the plants and everything that he created. Big meeting. Let us make man. That's the Lashon Rabbi. Let's make man. In other words, everyone's making a little contribution here. Meiser. Everybody do a Meiser. I want this person to have a little bit of fish in him. So a little bit of fish in him. So like it needs to have a little bit, of. It's Mazel Tagim now, that's why I say fish. We're at under Mazel Tagim. Yeah. You know what the pshat in the dog is? Do you understand the question? What's the pshat in the dog? Huh? Yeah, but why? What's the Indian? The word of a fish is unique in the Bria that it doesn't have a neck.
Doesn't close its eyes either.
How do you know?
Well, I was down there.
It looks like Chazal say it doesn't have a neck. It's pshat that it doesn't have a neck. That the neck has a tachlis, only one tachlis. That it connects the head to the rest of the body. The food goes this way, the air goes that way. Everything goes up and down. Everything is just a connecting thing. It's not a. It doesn't look anything unto itself. It's just connecting. Everything's going up pipes. It's all pipes. It's not like the pipe room. There's nothing in the
Muscle and muscles.
Well, that's in order to get everything up and down. But it's seven. I just read, by the way, that in order to swallow, it's in your neck. So 77 muscles. Imagine the flies have 77 muscles. I was just reading this in a medical thing that a person chas v'shalom loses the koach to swallow. Sometimes it happens to people. You wake up in the morning, you can't swallow. I don't mean like angina. I mean like you just can't swallow food. It doesn't go. So we take for granted. So there's an illness that's called an illness. Almost impossible to fix because there's 77 muscles involved. Like it's almost impossible. I don't know how to fix this kind of a thing. There's a woman that my wife takes care of, Marcy, in the French hospital. Our volunteers goes there a couple times a week to take care of her. So she had a stroke, but she just nothing. Can't say. All of a sudden you have to eat with the tube or breathe with the tube. It's like the whole pipe system is completely off. Okay, but a dog. I just have this in parentheses. Has a meaning that there's this direct connection. There's a direct connection. Shlomo HaMelech said in Shaar Hashirim that the Beis Hamikdash is al tzavorecha. Beis Hamikdash is the neck of the Jewish people. Meaning, here we are. Here's Hashem. Beis Hamikdash connects us like a tzavor. Mazel Dagim is the pshat. Comes from Purim. Purim, we had no Beis Hamikdash. Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. And the second Beis Hamikdash not yet built. So what do you have? You have a dog. Mm-hmm. It's like a fish situation. So that's the Mazel Dagim. It's a complete connection of nothing in between, just complete connection. It's the Mazel. There's a certain Mazel of Dagim that we have in Adar that goes like we're connected straight to Hashem without a connecting area. So the Gaon says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was Himlich B'Maaseh Bereishis, Nasa Adam Bid Museinu. Now, so we have all of these different things in it. We have fish in us, we have alligators in us, we have reptiles, we have lions, everything. And hence we have the koch. If you want to learn sneeze, go learn it from a weasel or a cat or wherever the Gemara says it. No, right? You want to learn about Geneva, learn from a different animal. These are kochos that are in the Bria, that they don't steal, that they save, that they're menschlich, these are kochos of the Bria, these bidos. This is not yet Tzelem Elokim. Fascinating thing. Like, if the Gemara is telling us, go learn, anivus or tznius from a cat, that means that tznius is part of the Bria. It's a normal thing in the Bria to be sanua. it's just be like a cat. That's all. Like it's just a normal thing in the bria. So now that we're kidduseinu and we're created like all of the world, fantastic bria. What a fantastic bria! A microcosm of the entire creation. Vegetables, lions, tigers, and bears. So now, okay, then we're just on the scale the same as the rest of the bria. So what gives us the extra piece? Like what, in other words, right? Dobe, Sameach, Chai, Medaber. What's the extra piece? That we can talk? The Seder. The Neshama? The Seder. That extra piece, the thing that weighs us and puts us above the entire Bria, like a Chai is over at Sameach, is called Selam Elokim. And that is, says the guy, the Selam Elokim. And that Selam Elokim is really... what we are. It's not so much a look. It doesn't mean the image of the image of Hashem physically, obviously, because Hashem doesn't have a physical image. So that means something more than anything we can learn from a cat, or anything we could run like a deer. There's something more. What's the more? What is the more? So we learned a whole Sefer Torah Dvar about the more. But what is the more? But you see, if a person says, as I said so many times in the Torah Dvar, person says, "Listen, I'm only human." Our answer to that person has to be, look, human is a huge, human is big. So because human is the entire bria, everything, everything in the bria plus. And what's even the plus? Says the Rechaim Volozhin, you want to know what the plus is? Roiv Pnimius Hazayar. Roiv Pnimius Hazayar is koilol in this idea of what the tselem is. What is this? To most, we could get a little bit, according to the guy, because become a biologist, become a botanist, and you'll understand to us. But to understand Tselem, for that you need Roiv Zohar to understand, which is out of the scope of this few minutes over here.
So that means the animals and everything was created the mus, and just
a piece of the mus.
A piece of the mus, and only,
meaning Hashem is all of these.
But not Tselem.
Not Tselem yet. There's no Tselem Elokim in an animal. Your dog might be your best friend, but he's not Tselem Elokim. But it could be Tamus, and not the whole Tamus, but a piece of the Tamus. Mm-hmm. There's a piece of the Tamus, a piece of spark of the Tamus that went into it. So what is the Tselem? So Rechaim Volozhin says, I'm going to go with the Pashtonim HaRishonim. And that's what we are going to go. But just before we do Pashut Shot, I want to take one step earlier and do Deep Shot. Because it's here. You see, I don't know if you have it in yours. Yeah, you do. In Perek Beis, if you look, it's in some, it's not in others. There's a big, long, multi-page Haggadah from Rabbi Yaacov Haber on what a Tselem Elokim is, and it's and we need to learn it sometime. But it's so hard to learn. It's so Kabbalistic, where he says, "Okay, right, Pnimius Hazayar, here you go." It's so difficult that I was gonna skip over it for now. But he felt at least it was important to know. In Pirkei Avos it says, let me just say one simple idea. In Pirkei Avos it says, "Hu hayomer." The who here is Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva said, "Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem." Chaviv Adam shenivra b'tzelem. Chiba Yisera loy das loy shenivra b'tzelem. And not only is he created b'tzelem, but Chiba Yisera loy das loy. What's it mean, Chai?
Favorite.
Loy das loy. Not only are we created b'tzelem, but he told us we're created b'tzelem. That's a real Chiba. Loy das loy. It was. We also have this idea. Like, I don't know if your dog knows that it's part of the Tamus of Hashem, but I'm a dog. But a person going, look, I'm a person. I'm only human. No. There's a Chiba Yisera, Hashem's special love to us is that we cannot say, I'm only human. Meaning where it's exactly where you say, I'm only human, I can't do that. That's exactly where the Tzelem Elokim starts. If you want to understand where your Tzelem Elokim kicks in, it's exactly when you say, I just can't do this. I'm only human. Otherwise you're chai. The whole, exactly where I get stuck is between Tumusenu and Salmenu. So it's very machayev. just it's like a simple example. Like I just can't get up. Like I'm in bed, I just can't get up. Okay, you're a domain. Try to be a tzomeach a little bit. Okay, I got up. Try to be a chai. Okay, so you get up, and try to be a medaber. Go speak to Hashem. So become a medaber. So that part between chai and medaber is our humanity, which is the whole bria plus. Because dogs get up in the morning and elephants get up in the morning. Speak to Hashem in the way we understand and know, or speak b'cha. So he says that not only are we created b'tselem, says Rabbi Akiva, Chaviv Adam Shenivra b'tselem, like wow, Chiba Yisera Noidasloi, not only that, we're told Shenivra b'tselem Shenemar, Ki b'tselem Elikim Asas Adam. Which is, by the way, Agav, a Pella on Rabbi Akiva, because, what am I going to ask you? Pella on Rabbi Akiva, why he brings the pasuk, b'tselem Elikim Baras Adam, and he doesn't bring the pasuk, b'tzelmenu Kid Museinu, which is this is just a pasuk which tells us not to kill people. So this probably has to do with Rabbi Akiva's klal gadol b'Torah of Yahavta l'reacha kamaycha. Probably. Chavivin Yisrael, not only that, klal Yisrael, not just people, mankind. Chavivin Yisrael shenikroim bonim l'makom. Even more domed, right? So, like in a certain way, we all look the same, right? In a certain way, we all look the same. But then when you see somebody with their son, they say, "That's interesting. That must be your father." Like you can tell. But we all look the same. So we all look the same. We all have a nose, eyes, ears. We all look pretty much the same. But a ben is a different madrega of likeness, if you will. So that's even a chiba yisera bonim atem laHashem lekechem. Two psukim Rabbi Akiva said. So in this sefer, this long Rebbe in the Nesiv Shalom, before there was a printed in the Nesiv Shalom, he had this sefer on Pirkei Avos. He says here, let's read a little bit and I want to try to explain it because I think it's Chaviv in Yisrael, Chaviv Adam Shnivra B'Tselem, Inyan Nivra B'Tselem Hu Gavoya Me'al Gavoya. And I think this fits right into what I've been explaining. It's the highest of the high. Sharei Hashem Yisbarach Eino Guf, Ein Lo Timus HaGuf. Hashem doesn't have any bodily features. He's incorporeal. Uma Shaykh B'Chlal Nasa D'Mitzalmenu Kidmusenu. So he says the pshat has to be L'Kar V'Laseichel Inyan HaNemer Nasa D'Mitzalmenu Kidmusenu Halpi Hazayar HaKadosh Me'ari HaKadosh. And listen to this. Let's see if we can even capture just a little drop of this. Shekeneged kol, this is the Ari. Keneged kol evarei adam yesh dugmasam lamala ba'elamis helyanim oiros helyanim. K'may oiros einayim v'oznayim chaytim v'peh v'chein oiros sarais v'diyukna kadisha. Kol ever v'inyan sheyesh ba'adam yesh kenegdoi v'madregos helyanos b'yoser b'chinas oiros helyanim. Ve'adam, all lashon of the Harizal, who ke'ein mappa, like a map. La'oiros v'ilamos el yoinim. Now, you see, the problem with understanding this is what are oiros? I don't even know what it means. But let's understand this: that when we look in the mirror and we look at our eyes and our nose and our ears, and especially our neshama, so it's all keneged oiros el yoinim, meaning there's something very ruchani in Shemayim, like ayin haroya, which is not an eye at all, oizen shoimas, it's not an ear at all, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created in a microcosmic level. Is that the right word? Or maybe within us. And so it goes, the tzimtzum is that it goes from or, which is ethereal, to ear, from or to eye, from or to nose, from or to koach hamadaber, from neshama to HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmai. Nefesh HaChaim mimal mamash. Neshama Cheluk Elokai mimal mamash lashon hazayir. And the Arizal brings. So, like the neshama is like really deep. You can't even see it. You can see your ears, your eyes. You can look in the mirror. The neshama you can't see. So it's a Kadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmai. So again, I'm not pretending to be able to explain what the symptom is of going from or to tachlis, but what we need to know is that we are not just hooked up, but we are a reflection of the oros. Like maybe light is also hard to understand for me, but when light hits an object, I can understand it a little bit. Light in a vacuum is hard to understand, unless you're like a real a physicist. It's hard to understand light, because if there would be nothing for the light to reflect on, you wouldn't even see that light. It's ein near. It only becomes apparent when it hits something, when it reflects on something. So we are that reflection of these spiritual iris in the kiviyachol, in the mashal. Let me give a more base mashal. I'm just going to admit to the low level that I understand this. I understand it as follows: that let's say somebody gives you a check, $100,000 check. I'm now inserting subliminal ideas into everybody's. So somebody gives you a check. Now the check unto itself. Let's think about it for a bit. The check unto itself is a piece of gashmi. It's not only a piece of gashmi, it's a piece of gashmi which means nothing. It has no value. You ripped it up, what'd you do? It could be $100,000, it could be $1 million, it could be $1. It just doesn't make any difference. It's just a check. It's representing, or it's the manifestation or the reflection of somebody who's transferring X amount of funds from some account somewhere to you in your name. And that's what that check is. The check unto itself is l'mashal. I'm just saying a mashal. Kiviyachol, a tselem of your bank account. It represents, in a gashmius form, that which you are willing to give to me for whatever reason. I sold you my house. You're giving tzedakah, whatever it might be. So, but the check unto itself is its importance is not right. The godless of this check is what is covering it. It's not like there's no like anybody here in the room can write out a check for $1 million. Nothing stops us. $1 million. The only problem is it's going to bounce. Right? Exactly right. So it's can you cover the check? My father always used to love to say that shot in an anonymous donation, somebody writes a check and doesn't sign it. It's a big trick, like he had a couple of properties, so it was like a big trick, people get a check that wasn't signed, so he called, you didn't sign, okay, another week. But it's tzedakah, like anonymous donation, so why am I giving this mashal? So a person has a check. Do we treasure the check or do we not treasure the check? Kasha. Now asking, when somebody gives you a check for $100,000, do you treasure the check or you don't treasure the check?
Confident. Deposit quickly.
Of course, you deposit it. But you don't rip it up. You're not mikashkesh. You don't crumple it in your pocket and say, it's not worth anything, it's only a representation of some other thing. This is what you've got. This is what you got. You've got now. Maybe if it gets lost, you can get another one. Maybe you can't. Maybe the person, like what is there's a story like that about a person who owed somebody like a lot of money, like $10,000, and then the person died, and he didn't know how to pay it back. So the Rav told him he should go to the grave, and he should, So he went to the grave, and he asked Mechila, I borrowed $10,000, never gave it back, and he wrote out a check and he threw it into the grave, and he covered up with dirt. That's a crazy thing. Like a check has no value unto itself. A check, right? Of course, what do you do? A check only has the value of what it represents. So if my mashal is correct, so it means to say that we have eyes, we have a nose, we have ears, we have a neshama. we have our, but we're B'Tselem Elokim. So the Tselem Elokim means, the Tselem Elokim Shaboy means that we're like, Al Tikashkesh, like, what are you scribbling on it for? What are you using it for? What are you using it? Yes, you have a choice, you have Bechira Chavshis, but once you use it for something other than its intention, it work very well. Like, could be you use the back of the check for scrap paper, for a book holder, to fuel your fire. It could have a lot of great uses. But isn't it abuse if you do anything other than use it for its intended purpose? So then it's an abuse of that check. So the same thing says the Siva Shalom, explaining the Arizal, I'm just going through words, explaining the Arizal, is that there's an Or Lamala. The Or Lamala is, in my mashal, please, I don't want to be reductionist to such holy and high and young. I'm just trying to understand, wrap my brain around a little bit. But you have this Or Lamala. Nobody understands the Or Lamala. But that's in the mashal, in the nimshal, that's the bank account. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives us a body, a goof, and says, okay, here you go, spend it. Now, if we take the goof and we use it for that which it was not intended to be used, meaning we're not mekadosh ourselves. What are we? Sof kol sof. We're Avdei Hashem. Like, the whole idea is He created us just like He created Malachim to finish off the Bria. So how do we finish? In order to finish off the Bria, we need to look like Hashem. We need to have these oros. We have to have the uniform. So to finish off the Bria means your job is to build, your job is to do chesed, your job is to procreate. This is our job. Now, if I take let's say, excuse my crassness, but if you take the procreation tool and you use it for tumah, so you're being makashkesh to check. What are you doing? You're just scribbling on. Here's an or. It comes from infinity. And it's coming and it's manifesting itself in the person, midas hayesod, and then a person is abusing it to the point that cutoff has nothing to do with the or any longer. So besides so Rabbi Akiva is teaching a person, we're told that we're B'Tselem, meaning that we have a purpose and everything in our life has to be used for that purpose. A person has to be completely mekadesh Hashem. Use your eyes for what they weren't created for. Use your nose for anything. It's particularly dibur, because dibur is the worst, because, or the best, however you want to look at it. Because dibur is that which mamish. We have the whole Dmusenu, and dibur is the demarcation between Dmusenu and Salmenu. So now, if we use the dibur, let's say, to speak lashon hara. So it's exactly it's literally taking that unbelievable aura of infinity that came into us, and now we're using it. We're abusing it. We're abusing it completely, using it for a davar shel tumah. What's a pella about this, by the way, and with this will go on, is that even the neshama can be abused. We understand abusing our eyes, abusing our mouth, abusing our ears, listening to the wrong things. This is all it's not frumkeit. In other words, it violates the actual. That's not what I gave you this for. You go if one of our employees is even using the copy machine for their own use, or worse, stepping on it and using it to dance on or something. So. That's not what you're here for. Is that what I gave it to you for? Yeah, okay, but it's nice to dance. But it's I do my yoga on it, balancing myself on it, But it's not what it's made for. It's an abuse. You fire the person. So, like, if we use anything for them, but we also have a neshama. So the neshama's capability is to feel things which are very, very spiritual, and even that can be abused. Even that can be done not for serving Hashem. It can also be a feel-good thing. Not that you're not allowed to feel good, but it can also be a self-centered thing as opposed to being a way of using the tool which HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave me at the end of this or. It reflects on my neshama. If I'm using my neshama for something which it was not created for, so then that's also abuse. And this is what Rabbi Akiva is telling somebody. It was Rabbi Akiva was able to say v'chol avavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol miyadecha. My whole life I want to give v'chol nafshecha. Afilu noitelas nafshecha, even Mesiras Nefesh, even to die, al kiddush Hashem. None of us are looking to die, al kiddush Hashem. Rabbi Kiva was, apparently. He was into it. My whole life I'm davening. V'chol avavcha, v'chol nafshecha, v'chol miyadecha. What's the pshat? Then I use the check. If every single, it's one of the few mitzvahs you could do with your whole body. Dying al kiddush Hashem. I'm not right. I'm not. I'm not recommending anybody. This is not like a death cult here. I'm not into that. But what I am saying is that I'm so far from such even understanding such a madrega. But Rabbi Kiva wasn't far from that. Rabbi Kiva in his kedusha came to the level, not right away. At 120 years, he came to the level which I can cover the check. I'm saying it every day. Can I actually cover the check? Can I actually use this for what it was intended for? Every single one of my varim, everything. And what did he say when he was being tortured to death? Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. So this is the idea of ultimately, but mostly we can do this in a very pleasant way. Drachel Darchei Noam. We can in a very pleasant way to help other people and to live in kedusha. But I think that. Okay, I said I'm going to talk about it for a minute. I'm talking about too much, but I just want to understand this. That people say, people often ask themselves, they ask others, they ask rabbis, should I do this? Should I not do this? So what's the real answer in my mind? Always the real answer is, well, what's the Ratzon Hashem? Your greatest asset is the Torah. If you want to know what the Ratzon Hashem is. But there's other. It's not just the Torah. I mean, you could try to understand the gestalt of why Hashem created a person and say, what's the Ratzon Hashem? But the deeper question is should I do this? Is what was, should I go become a doctor? So the question is, what tchuna did HaKadosh Baruch Hu use it, and how do you use it to be an Eved Hashem? Now that doesn't mean necessarily don't become a doctor and learn a koil. I don't think that's what it means. But because that's just too easy. But what it means is that if this is my tchuna, like the Rambam, let's say, this is my tchuna, this is my ability, this is my koach, I have a kishron in this thing, so do it. But kol ma'asecha yil l'shem shamayim, that understand that I'm not doing it for me, I'm doing it for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a whole different idea, and it doesn't even mean that one should deny themselves of any kind of pleasure from it. But it all has to be a usage of the keli that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does it. That's what Ratzon Hashem really means. That all this I said is a synopsis of what the Nesiv Shalom says on this mission of Tzelem Elikim, explaining, or as he puts it, L'karev el Haseichel, the idea of Tzelem Elikim, of the Arizal, of the Oiros turning into Gashmias. So he says, let's do 2 minutes, as I said, I'll finish Shaar Alef. V'hu, ki milas tzelem u'dmus kan enoi kemashma'oi. What we need to understand is tzelem and dmus cannot mean as it simply sounds. Ki kasim mefurish, it's a mefurish pasuk in Yeshaya, umad dmus ta'archulai, that Hashem has no image per se. Ela perushai. So what does it mean that we're b'dmusai dimyoin ma be'ezadavar? There is a comparison. Again, now we're moving from everything I've said to what Rav Chaim Volozhin is explaining, which is with the background of everything that I said. Dimyoin ma be'ezadavar. There's something like me which is like Hashem. There's something about me which is like Hashem. Like when you say something is comparable, demus, doesn't mean it's completely carbon copy. It means that domema, kamo damisi lakas midbar. David HaMelech said, "I'm like a bird in the midbar." Loy nasu like nafayim chartum. He didn't mean that he has wings and a beak. V'loy nishtana tzurasa l'tzuras hakos. He didn't become a tzura of a bird. That's not what he meant. Rakshanid ma'az. He felt like a bird in the right. Right? He felt like a bird on a hot tin roof, right? I feel like I don't have a place to stand. Every place I stand, I burn my feet. I don't have a place to get water. I don't have a place to call home. That's what he meant. There's a dimyan ma. B'mikra puloisav shal yanav v'nad. He means to say, I'm a nav v'nad. K'mayakos midbar. Should sipar bodeinu ma'ofev mimakam l'makam. He doesn't have a home, place to call home. He doesn't have his nest. This is my nest. It's a desert bird. Kachul l'via pashtanim arishonim. That's a simple shot. So the first thing we have to say, it doesn't mean we're God. It means that we have a dimyan of God. With the Arizal, it comes out even, we are one piece of the Gashmius reflection of the Ruchnius, of the Oiros of Hashem. V'chein al derech zeh hinyan milas selam, the same thing came doimim mashmoim b'tzad ma. There's some kind of comparison. Okay. To repair base. On Thursday, there's no shir because it's Purim. Thursday, Purim. So, Mir Hashem Sunday.
I